tonight. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, my name is Kim Bash. And every week we try and showcase an amazing new community. Well, not new, but new to people not in Israel, and new to me as well, because even though I've been here for so many years, I'm discovering all parts of Israel that I didn't even know about. So, and all these amazing people that I'm getting to meet. So it's an opportunity for people, because the fact that there are no such thing as pilot trips right now. Israel's skies are closed. Those people are thinking about making Aliyah. We're trying to showcase communities that we feel are Anglo friendly and have potential for people who want to make Aliyah. And again, thank you for all the Be'er Sheva people who are on tonight. I appreciate everybody's time. And it's been for actually a very long time that people have been asking us to do Be'er Sheva. And just recently, Devorah, who works with me very closely, had gone there for a Shabbat. And she's like, we have to do Be'er Sheva. It's the most amazing place. I'm like, okay, we're going to do it. So here we are. And again, thank you for everybody for coming on. And let me just get my list of people, because I'm not sure who's on because of the mix-up of the Zoom. And Zahava, are you from Be'er Sheva?
Yeah, I live in Be'er Sheva.
Great, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you chose Be'er Sheva to, you made Aliyah from where?
So technically I made Aliyah from Morristown, New Jersey. I'm not from New Jersey, but I made Aliyah from there. I kind of grew up all over the world and moving around with my family. And in the end, I've decided to make Israel my home with my family.
Amazing.
And and when we made Aliyah, actually, we started off in Modi'in for a few months. And then we moved outside of Yerushalayim for about 2 years. And then we moved to Be'er Sheva, and we've been in Be'er Sheva for about 4 years.
And tell me about the community. Why did you decide on Be'er Sheva?
So actually, when we moved down to Be'er Sheva, we moved to join a community. We were building a English-speaking Chabad, American-style Chabad community. So we've opened up American English-speaking Chabad house. We also cater to Spanish speakers and Portuguese speakers. But we have a very large community of English speakers. There is already some English speakers here that were part of a different community, which I'm sure maybe Rakefet will talk about, but they're called Kochav Darom. And just visiting Be'er Sheva before we moved, we didn't actually know anything about Be'er Sheva. Never been to Be'er Sheva, and it's just a very different lifestyle than living in the center or in the big cities. Like Be'er Sheva has everything that you need. It's a big city, but it's kind of like a small town that grew too fast and nobody noticed. So everybody has that small town feel. Everybody's very friendly. It's very different. The Israelis are different. I hate to say it like that, but the attitude and mentality is very different here. It's kind of the Southern hospitality that you would get somewhere else. And it's very communal. Everyone's friendly. Everybody's kids play together. And the English community, even since I've been here the past 4 years, has grown tremendously. And the things that are available to Olim. And we have an amazing Klita advisor. The Nefesh B'Nefesh down here is also amazing. We have Kivunim, which has also an English speaking advisor who's my friend. And they do amazing programs and make sure to help you step by step. If you have any issues with Bituach Leumi or anything like that, they will walk with you and go there with you and do everything with you hand by hand, because it's not like Yerushalayim. There's not 1,000,000,001 English speakers coming in. So you get a lot more personalized attention here than you would in other places like the center. So it was kind of a big change compared to where we were living before. So it was very, very refreshing. And it's also very spacious and calm and quiet. Even for a big city, it's very relaxed.
How are like public transportation, for example? What's daily life like in Be'er Sheva?
So public transportation is actually excellent, and it improved also since I have been here. We actually got the first pilot public transportation for the on-bus Ravkov system. So everything, you don't talk to the bus driver, you swipe everything on your card, and you can do everything either on your card or online. There's Wi-Fi on the buses. There's the train that goes to the center. I think it's like an hour and 10 minutes to Tel Aviv on the train. You have a direct bus to Jerusalem if you need to go. All the local buses go everywhere that you need to go. There's also, if you have a car, there's also parking all the time in Be'er Sheva, which is pretty unusual for a big city. And also most things are in walking distance. Like there's the biggest mall in Israel is here, and it's walking distance from my house. It's about 10 minutes walking from my house. There's different cultural places to go. There's art museums. The Science Museum is here. And most of those things are walking distance from my house. They have the university, they have the hospital, they have the high-tech park, and everything is accessible. We just got a car this year. So far we haven't had a car, and we got a car about 5 months ago. So until then we haven't had a car, and we have 2 kids, and it was totally fine. Yeah.
And talking about kids, what ages are they and where do they go to school? Pre-COVID, I mean, are they back at school now?
Yeah, they're back in school. So I have only 2 kids. I have a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old. They go to actually the Chabad school here, but there's a bunch of different types of schools. There's religious school, secular school, everything that you could need in every neighborhood. They also have schools with different specialties. They have a special needs school for children with special needs or differently abled. And it's been pretty great. And they have services for Olim children. They have Ulpan. They have everything you need. It's been great.
Thank you so much. Any advice you want to give anybody looking to make Aliyah?
Yeah, I think the best advice that I can think of, and I've mentioned to people before, is a lot of times when people make Aliyah, they go to one place to start off with, and if it doesn't work out, they feel like Israel won't work out for them, that oh, Israelis are so much different, or Israel is so different and it's so hard to fit in or figure out a place. But you really have to try different cities and different communities because it's totally different. Just like in America, if you move to New York City, you can't necessarily say you don't like America because you've moved to New York City, you don't like Americans, like it's New York. You have to try all different places and all different things. Every city, every community has a totally different vibe from each other and different prices. A lot of people are like, Israel's so expensive. Be'er Sheva is not that expensive, and you get this, similar quality for not as expensive, and you still get the community and the city. So you have to try different places and look into everything. And most people who are successful in Aliyah and they stay, they've moved several times to find their place. So it's not easy, but it's the same as in America. A lot of people try, or wherever everybody's from, but a lot of people try different states, cities, communities, and you just have to find your community and the people who you feel comfortable with, and that's going to make the difference.
Somebody's asking how the weather is.
The weather is pretty okay. In the summer, it does get quite hot. Most people are indoors in the summer. During the day, there's kind of a different schedule in the Negev. Like the kids come home after school in the summer time and they eat something and they might take a nap, and then all the kids are in the playground at like 7 o'clock at night because the sun's gone down. It's cool. In the winter, the weather is beautiful. It's Fahrenheit, it's like 70 degrees every day and it's beautiful. It rains a little bit, but it's definitely more barbecue weather. It's nice, it's clear, there's always a nice breeze. You just have to make it through the few months of summer.
I think a lot of Israel's like that. If you don't like hot weather.
And it's not as humid as a lot of places in Israel. It is dry.
That's true.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And the next person I'd like to ask the speaker is, hi, Zev.
Hello.
Hi, thank you so much for coming on.
Sorry I was late. I tried to get here on time.
Not a problem. So
that sounds good, what I heard.
A few minutes just to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about why you love living in Be'er Sheva.
Okay, well, we came here many years ago. We've been here for 33 years. We came in July of 1987. And Be'er Sheva was a very different place then. I have to say, I didn't hear the whole last talk, but she was very good. Everything I heard was exactly right. I would just say that we've seen in our 30 some years, the city has doubled in size. It's changed from a city. If you know anything about architecture, and it's still known as a city that had at its beginning what's called brutalist architecture, and that is sort of what it sounds like. And you can still see examples around the city. And it was something that bothered us at the beginning, but we lived with it. And then over time, it began to change as the country became more affluent. And so now the city is quite nice. I came with a job, which is recommended if you can do it. I don't know nowadays. I work at the university, and that's been my first and my last job, my first real job. My first job in science anyway. And so I've worked for the university all the years, and it's a good employer. And we decided, even though a lot of my colleagues moved to the center of the country and commuted down to Be'er Sheva, we decided to make our home in Be'er Sheva itself, which was not the usual thing. And there's a community outside Be'er Sheva called Omer, which is a bedroom community. And most of the university faculty when I came was living there. And they were big private, single family homes. Whereas in Be'er Sheva, we live in a single family home, but it's part of a row of attached houses, and which is very characteristic of some of the neighborhoods in Be'er Sheva. And on both sides is our homes, and in the middle is a pedestrian lane, and those are called misholim. And so misholim are fairly unique to Be'er Sheva. It makes it quite an interesting place to live. And we're close by. The houses aren't large, but you have a feeling of community that's certainly very positive. And it's usually very mixed. So I'd say one of the things that we liked about Be'er Sheva was there was about, I don't know, maybe 30% religious in our neighborhood, and about 70% non-religious, most of whom were what they call Masorti or traditional. I wouldn't want to say non-religious, but anyway, and that's more or less the kind of mix we wanted for our children growing up. And we had all three of our girls were born here, and we now have 12 grandchildren and 13th on the way. So we've really, our whole life has been here in Be'er Sheva, and no regrets. And what I heard before this was that the city is affordable, and that's important.
Zev, are your children living in Be'er Sheva as well?
So it so happens that one of them is living here for the year. She brought her kids down, and my two other ones are living in Tel Aviv, very close to one another. It's true that Be'er Sheva has originally had a fairly bad reputation, and so a lot of Israelis thought of it from their days in the army, as a place that wasn't very welcoming. It was sort of sun-dried and hot and not very welcoming. And now we see that's changed a lot. And so more kids of our friends are either returning to Be'er Sheva or have stayed in Be'er Sheva, whereas before they almost all left. So anyway, I would say that one of the selling points of Be'er Sheva is that the parks they have a great number of parks for kids, very, very well equipped, very, very welcoming, and very nice. And even from our home, there are probably half a dozen within walking distance.
Wow,
and that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, our kids grew up without them, though, didn't they?
Yes, they really did. I have to say, hi, Caroline.
Caroline, I didn't hear what you said.
I said our kids grew up without those lovely parks. Be'er Sheva has changed enormously over time, and the parks are really fantastic now.
Yeah. Please introduce yourself. Zev, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Caroline, you're up next.
I don't know how much I have to add. I came here very unwillingly, following a new husband. I mean, not new, my husband. who I met in Jerusalem, but he worked in Be'er Sheva. And I came down here extremely unwillingly 25 years ago to what was really not such an attractive place to be at all. And it's changed beyond all description. I'm not going to talk about what it was like then, because it was very, very different. And now it's really a very pleasant city to be in. I agree with everything that Zev and Zahava have said. And the English-speaking community has grown such that I do not know Zahava, for example, whereas when I first came, I knew most of the English-speaking people in the area. It's very warm and friendly, which part of it, I think, is like the southern warmth that Zahava was talking about. I also think the fact that there's a large proportion of Sephardi Jews in Be'er Sheva makes it a warm community as well. It rubs off on the Ashkenazi, I have to say. And it's just the general background is warm and friendly.
So after 25 years, would you say that you are now comfortable and happy?
Oh yeah, no, I've been comfortable for a long time, and I'm very happy here.
And do you have family in the neighborhood?
My family, I have no close family in Israel at all. I have distant family, but not in Be'er Sheva, no. I have friends and community.
And what would you say, any advice to people thinking about making Aliyah?
My main advice is to learn Hebrew as much as you can before you come, and B, to realize that you are moving to a different country. Like, I know we're all Jews and we're making Aliyah with the Zionist ideology, but Israel is not where we came from. And it has a different culture and different ways of doing things. And sometimes it's infuriating. And sometimes it's great, because having come from England, I'm a lot more freer here than I ever was in England. But it is not where we came from. And I think that's an important thing to, why can't I get this brand of something or other? And why doesn't Israel do it this way? We all have these questions when we make Aliyah, but try and keep it in proportion.
I think it's so important. I say this in every single call, that you cannot copy paste your life from Chutz La'aretz, from living abroad to coming to live in Israel. It's just a different doesn't mean bad. It's just different. And that's why for me, it's very important to do these calls, because I believe very much in surrounding yourself, especially in the beginning, in a more of a soft landing community where there is Anglos, because you really do need a support system. Because if for stress-free Aliyah, you cannot, go into a very Israeli community where you're not going to be able to talk to anybody. So in the beginning, for me, I always say to people when I'm talking to them and asking where they want to go, where are your friends? Do you know people? If you're an English person, where are the people going from England? Where are a lot of people going from England or South Africa or from Australia or America? So there's a sense of familiarity makes it much more comfortable and a much more easier transition. Because let's not kid, Aliyah is difficult. It may be the right decision, but it doesn't mean that it's a bed of roses, as we say. So thank you so much for your input. I'm going to cross over now to April.
Oh wait, before April speaks, can I just add to that really quickly? Sure. The other thing, dealing with how things are different in Israel and why are things like this, and getting frustrated with all the bureaucracy and red tape. The other thing we always like to think about is that Israel's only 72 years young, and they've had influx of people after influx of people, and they're changing things rapidly and trying to figure out how to do things the best way. So sometimes it's not the most perfect system, but they put it in place, so it's something that they have to do now. And we've even seen in the time that we've made Aliyah, changes in the system to make things easier or make more sense or more fluid. So you kind of also just have to be patient with the process. And I think that's super important to remember.
Very important. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. April, hi.
Hello. How would you like me to start? I'm April Bauer. I made Aliyah with my husband and my children this past March, so just 9 months ago.
Wow, Mazel tov.
Thank you. Thank you. Zahaba's helped me a lot. Let's see. We were kind of an odd situation as far as our family coming. We kind of came split. My two older daughters started off they're still in the Nale program, and they actually attend the same high school that Zev's daughters went to. And so when I was first looking at Be'er Sheva as one of my options, I spoke with him, I don't know if he recalls, about the distance between Kfar Saba and Be'er Sheva and traveling. And he said it's much easier now than it was when his girls were in school. So that was very good. We chose Be'er Sheva for many reasons. One, it's a big city, but like Zahava said, it feels like a small town. Everybody just feels like they know you, even though they don't know you. I don't know, I've just felt welcomed. We came in right at the beginning of the first lockdown. Like, we came in, we went into the country shut down the day that we boarded the plane for our Aliyah flight, where they accepted nobody unless you were a citizen. So that was very interesting. We did not have anybody welcome us at the airport like people didn't 30 years ago. So we came to an empty airport. But that was okay because we knew it was happening, and we set someone up in advance to walk our dogs for us while we were in quarantine. Our two older daughters could not come see us because we were in quarantine, so they had to wait. So they knew that we were here, but they just couldn't be with us. And then we got out just in time for Pesach.
Wow.
And then everything closed, and we did all of our landing stuff that should have happened at the airport through emergency openings of government offices. So we have a very unique situation, but at the same time, I think it's made it better for us because it's made us, we could not just sit back and wait. We had to hurry and do this, hurry and do that, and go, go, go. So it's forced us to get our feet wet and get out and meet people. And our first 2 weeks when we were in quarantine, we met people by, shouting through the door, thanks. We came to our apartment and there was food and cleaning supplies and stuff in the apartment. We don't even know who brought it. People just had it there for us. So although we did not have a welcoming committee at the airport, we had the love of the neighborhood in our apartment waiting for us. And we knew that we made the right choice. And we just keep meeting more and more people helping us to navigate the school or the bank or anything, or I just feel like crying today, and it's okay. You can cry, and thank you for that reassurance. And so that's kind of us still trying to get used to it.
So April, you came with teenagers.
Yes.
Tell me how was that for them? I mean, it must be really challenging.
Well, the two teenagers were actually here before we got here. So they've been here for 2 years. With the two younger children actually came on the plane with us.
Oh, okay.
So I think that the teenagers, they just did a while back. They were just excited we got here because then they could come home for Shabbat and eat. And
wow.
And lots of food.
So everybody's and they've adjusted, the two younger.
They are. Most days are really good for them.
Have they made friends?
They have. The youngest one, she's 6. She's in first grade this year. She's kind of a reluctant person anytime she meets a new person anyway, but she is doing really well. Thankfully, she has a teacher who speaks some English, and so does the assistant. So if she feels overwhelmed, they will speak to her in English, but normally they just go all Hebrew, and she's doing great, adjusting and learning. And My oldest one, who's in 7th grade, he met friends and he goes out with them quite frequently. And they just actually went back to school today
Wow.
because they've been doing Zoom since before Rosh Hashanah. And so he's
Are there any youth groups like B'nai Kiva that they're involved in?
I'm not sure if B'nai Akiva is here, but he over the summer he was going to the youth group Ezra.
Okay, yes.
But I'm not sure what their plans are as far as when they're going to start that back or not. I think they're just waiting. And so he's met people there. He is slowly learning Hebrew. He's probably had, educational wise, he's had the hardest time because he is in a yeshiva and they don't have as much ulpan offerings there. It's harder. You have to fight a little bit harder for them to get their hours in the school he's at. And he gets them. It's just harder. You have to make sure you're pushing because they don't get as many olim, and so they aren't set up for it the same way. Whereas the lower grades and I think the high schools, like 9th through 12th, have it more than your 7th and 8th graders do. So that is something to keep in mind, that if you come here, I have to say overall, that's probably the only negative thing I have to say right now about Be'er Sheva, because we love it here. The weather is nice. The people are fantastic. There's so many things to do and see, or sit at home and enjoy the weather. But my one thing is that for the 7th and 8th grade, it seems to be harder for them to get the ulpan they need in the schools.
I know there's a lot of talk right now going on in Israel amongst different, mayors and different communities to try and really, with hopefully the wave of Aliyah that's about to happen, that they really are looking to try and figure out how to, make the school system a little bit more Anglo friendly and have all plans within the school and to cater for the new olim that are coming in. So I think that it's all changing.
It is. And I understand that, some children, they I don't want to say get left behind or overlooked. They're just part of the transitional phase. And that's where my son is. And that's fine. He's a smart boy. We have him a private tutor to help to catch up with the Hebrew that he probably would have picked up had they been in school for the last few months. but he hasn't. So, you do what you have to do to help your children, just as if you were in any other country. If they need help in a subject, you get someone to help them. And there is, I know it's throughout all Israel, I can't remember the name of it right now, where they have people who volunteer to go to the schools and help tutor children with whatever help they need. And so he gets that. I'm sorry?
Sherut Lumi?
I think.
Oh, no, you don't mean that. There is Sherut Lumi also supplies mostly girls from high school.
Right.
That will come in and actually help with the olim. That's fantastic. Amazing.
Yeah, my oldest daughter is signing up to do that next year.
Amazing.
My girls all did.
A lot of people are asking about real estate and rentals and buying. We'll cover that at the end. Okay, so we'll talk about why I think that Be'er Sheva is real hidden gem, because it really is one of the most affordable cities I've seen so far in Israel. We're going to get to that. Okay, I'm going to ask next up to speak is Rekevet. Is she on? Yes. That's good. Rekevet. Did I say it incorrectly? I'm sorry. You see my bad Hebrew. What can I say? Please forgive me.
No, I know her. That's it.
Oh, it's okay. Where is she disappeared to? Oh, there you are. I apologize profusely for not pronouncing your name correctly.
No problem. I just had my video off because otherwise the computer gets slow.
Perfect. Okay, I got it right. Okay, so introduce yourself. Hi.
Hi, I'm Rakefet. I work at the university in Beer Sheva, and my husband works at the hospital in Soroka. He's a doctor. We came to Beer Sheva for our studies. I was doing a master's and he was doing his medical school here. And kind of like Zev said, Beer Sheva has sort of a bad reputation. So when we got here, we're like, there's no way we're staying here. We're going to finish our studies and go to the Americas. And in the end, we stayed. And we've been here 8 years. We have 3 kids who were all born in Beer Sheva. And and we find that, we feel that we found our community, we found our home, we found our friends here. We're trying to also help build the community to make it better, to make it, like you said, a soft landing for Anglos. So we started a community that we call Kochav Darom, us and a few other families, that we're just trying to kind of, we felt like among our Anglo friends, there was a really strong community for Beirut, which Caroline is part of, which is a partnership minyan, and they have a really great thing going on. And Chabad also had a really good, nice, warm Anglo community that had activities, and we all kind of overlap a lot because we're all Anglo, so we know each other and we're friends, and our kids hang out with each other, and we live in like overlapping neighborhoods. So we kind of wanted to strengthen the more, you could say, modern Orthodox or Torani community. And, Corona has made it difficult to continue to do that, because a lot of what we do is just making activities for young families. But we're starting to get back into it now that you're allowed to have 20 people outside together.
Hoping there's not this rumor of another lockdown. That's what they're saying. And I'm like, please, no, can't deal with it. Anyway, what do you do? Are you a lecturer?
No, I work in a research lab. I'm sorry, it's so dark in here.
It's okay.
I work in a research lab at the university. I guess I'm basically a lab tech.
Okay. And your kids, you said, which school do they go to?
So my kids go to Rambam, which is a school in Shchuna Hay. We actually live in Shchuna Tet, but after learning about a few different schools, like when school registration is typically in January. So before registration, about a month before, the schools usually have orientation, meet the principal, they talk about the school. And it was the school that I felt most connected with the principal and with other families who sent to that school. So we decided to request to go to that school. So it's basically, one thing, let's say, that would be different from what a lot of people are used to in America. What happens in Israel is the Jewish day school system is really part of the public school system. So you can't just send to whatever school you want necessarily. You have to request, if you want to go somewhere that's outside of your area, you have to request to get a spot. And then it depends on if there is space or not. We did get the spot that we wanted, so that was good.
How big are the classes of your kids' class, an average class?
So it will depend on the school and the neighborhood and I guess sort of the demand, but my kids' class is 27. Wow. I think they're like the limit of how many they're allowed to have is something like 33 or 34. I'm not entirely sure, but the school works very hard not to make it more than 27. One thing with this school is, so it's mixed boys and girls up to grade 4, and then from grade 1st through 3rd grade, and then 4th through 6th grade. April's nodding because she knows. 4th through 6th grade is separate. So sometimes what happens is, let's say they have just when they're splitting up the boys and girls, they'll end up having 2 classes of boys and 1 class of girls. So then, the boys class each might be smaller than the girls class, or you might get a really small girls class and then big boys classes. But also here, every religious school, like every mamlachti dati school, is different in how they do things. Some schools, the boys and girls are together the whole time from 1st through 6th grade. Some schools, they're separate from 1st grade already. This school does a mix. So a lot of things kind of just, the school has freedom to decide on certain things. So with the neighborhood, you also have to, when you're looking at different neighborhoods and trying it out and feeling it out, also the schools are different in each neighborhood.
So it's just advisable just to research and to reach out to people. Usually on my calls, I try to get somebody from a school, like a school principal or a teacher to come on and talk as well, but it wasn't possible this time. So, but we're happy, myself or Devora or Yael's coming on the call just now, just to talk if anybody wants us to research and get more information. And if any of you on the call from Be'er Sheva are willing to put out your number for people to call and to be in touch, that would be really awesome. So,
I just put on the list the Anglo Be'er Sheva, the English language listserv address.
Great, I saw that. Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you. I also want to take this moment to introduce Yael. Yael's on the call. Where's Yael? She disappeared on me. Where is she? I don't know where she's disappeared.
She's on the chat.
I know, I can't see her.
Hi, Yael. Can you turn your video on?
It doesn't work only on my phone, and I couldn't open it, so.
Has this cream cheese? We can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Not very well.
No.
We're going to come back to you in a few minutes. I'm going to ask Rafi. So for those who've been following me, or those of you who don't, I'd like to introduce you to Rafi Shulman, who runs an amazing organization called Olim Advisors. And for anybody making Aliyah, you need to know about Olim Advisors. They're absolutely amazing. They hold your hand through the whole process before you make Aliyah, when you make Aliyah, and afterwards as well, like the whole tooth they do. So Rafi, welcome. Thank you so much for coming on. Oh, I can't hear you. Oh, hold on. One sec. Oh, we can hear you now.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, good. So, hi everyone. My name is Rafi Shulman. I actually made Aliyah twice. I made Aliyah from South Africa when I was a little kid, and we lived outside of Netanya in Puleg back in the late 70s, and then we moved to Rehovot, and I lived in Rehovot and had an amazing childhood growing up in Israel. And then in the mid 80s, my dad, like a lot of Israelis, said, let's go to America, I'll make a lot of money and I'll come back in 3 to 5 years. And it didn't exactly go according to plan. We ended up living in New Jersey for about 30 years and I grew up there. But I always remembered my childhood in Israel. And even though I spent most of my life in America, there was this connection to Israel that I just couldn't forget about. And married an American, and we decided back in 2015 that we wanted to come to Israel for the adventure. We had 4 kids at the time, and we wanted to just expose them to a different lifestyle and just, you know, have them really feel and experience the amazing life in Israel. And so almost on a whim, we decided to come and make Aliyah. And so in 6 weeks, we pretty much packed our stuff and we moved to Israel. And it was the best decision by far. Our oldest kid at that point was 10, and then I had a son who was 8, and then a daughter who was 7, and another daughter who was 2. And we moved to a small yeshuv called Hashmonaim, which is near Modi'in. And it's been an amazing, amazing experience. And about a year into it, I wanted to help other people with Aliyah because it was challenging for us. And I speak Hebrew fluently and I have the mindset, but still the whole process of making Aliyah and adjusting was challenging. And so I left my job in finance and teamed up with my sister who lives here as well. And we said, let's start an organization that can help people. And we really focused on 2 things. The first thing that we focused on is helping people through the whole decision process. So as many of you went through, a lot of people have this dream, have this desire to move to Israel, but they don't know where to begin. They don't know where to move to. They don't know which communities. They don't know what schools to send their kids to. They don't know what things they need to ship. And there's so many things, so many decisions that people have to make. And so we're kind of their eyes and ears on the ground. One of the things that we strongly recommend is that people keep their mind open to other communities and not just Ramat Bet Shemesh and Modi'in and Ra'anana and Yerushalayim. In fact, one of our first clients that we helped was a woman who was retiring from Virginia, and she moved to Beer Sheva, and she's been, living in Beer Sheva happily ever after. And really, it's one of the things that we really focus on is helping people find the communities, find schools, because these are important decisions. These can really have an impact on your life in Israel. And so that's really the first part. And then the second part is adjusting to Israel. A number of you said, and I couldn't agree more, that Israel is very different. Things that you take for granted in the States or South Africa, Australia, here are just different and in some ways more challenging, especially if you don't speak Hebrew. And so what we do is we help people deal with the day-to-day challenges. One of the first things that we do is we go with them to Misrada, to the bank. So, everyone's heard the horror stories of going to the bank. And so we go with them and we make sure that that's done in an hour or so. We go with them to Misrada Capita and Misrada Pnim, and we really make sure that those first few days, those first few weeks aren't as challenging. They're not as overwhelming. And then once we get past that initial first stage, then it's just being the support, the go-to people. So if they have kids and the kids are in school and they need someone to advocate for them, maybe the kids aren't getting the Ulpan services, or maybe they're not getting the support, we can go and we can talk to teachers, we can talk to the principals and make sure that they're getting that support. And then really everything from big to small that comes up, how to choose a kupat cholim, how to buy a car, going to the supermarket. For example, one of our kids is allergic to dairy products. And when my wife went into the supermarket, she didn't speak Hebrew, she doesn't read Hebrew, and she didn't know how to find ingredients that, that our son could have. And so there's just a lot of these little things that come up every day, every week. And so we are just the support system, the people, that they can come to. And many people that we help have friends and family in Israel, but they don't want to burden them. They don't want to go back to them time and time again. And so that's really how we help people. And what I'd like to share with you just for a couple of minutes is just a few pieces of advice that we give to people when they're thinking about the Aliyah process. The first thing that we say is really take the time to prepare as much as possible to learn Hebrew. So if you can go ahead and take an online class, or you can read go to Yediot Achronot, or go to a website and really try and get that conversational Hebrew up. That's really going to make a difference. Another thing that you can do is start doing the job search before you get to Israel. I think it's hard to get a job before you get to Israel, but you can definitely do the research, see what kind of job opportunities, see what industries, see what companies are hiring, connect with people beforehand. And then when you get to Israel, you can hit the street running and you can find a job a lot faster than you would if you just start looking for a job once you get here. Another thing that I think is so important is reach out to people who are living in the communities, and we do that. Kim does that. I'm sure a lot of people here on the call would be happy to help you do that. If you can connect with a family or two, then when you come to Israel, you're not just starting from scratch. You have friends that can introduce you and kids to other people, and it just socially can make a very big difference. So those, that's something that I think can really help. Another thing that somebody mentioned here is being involved in your kids' education when you're here. And this is where for us, it was very different than it was in the States. Here, if you don't speak up, a lot of times you kind of get lost in the shuffle. If your kid's not, causing a lot of problems, or if he's kind of just sitting in the corner and quiet, then because of the size of the classes and because of the way that the school systems here are set up, a lot of times they just fall through the cracks. And so we really encourage parents to be active participants in education, talk to the teachers on a regular basis and ask them, why things aren't going the way that things should be going. Make sure that you're aware of what's going on and you really push for that. I think that's something that can really make a big difference. And then the other thing is just utilizing all the free resources that are out there. So there's a lot of really good Facebook groups. I know that there's one for Be'er Sheva that I'm familiar with. I'm sure there are more. I think it's English speakers in Be'er Sheva. I think there's a couple of those. So join those groups if you're thinking about Be'er Sheva. Talk to people who are living in the communities that you're thinking about, and they'll be able to give you kind of the inside scoop on what's going on. We actually started a Facebook group a couple months ago, really with the purpose of supporting and providing information to people who are making Aliyah, as well as to Anglos that are living here, because the challenge doesn't stop once you get here. In many cases, it just begins. And so, I'll put the link to the Facebook group in the chat, and I encourage you and invite you all to join the Facebook groups, to ask questions and just to support each other. I think it's so important that we can support each other. And if you have any questions, I'll put my contact information in the chat. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to get on a call with you, and we can just think through this together. I can help you kind of create a plan of action, a game plan for making Aliyah. And I think once you start doing that, you'll realize that it's doable. And I think that's a challenge that a lot of people we speak to struggle with. This is a dream, but they're not quite sure if they can do it. And I'm here to tell you that I absolutely think that each one of you can, but it does come down to planning and planning ahead. And if you do that, I think it's something that you will find will be, one of the best decisions that you would have made, in the same way that my wife and I feel. So I really, I always get inspired when I talk to people, and when I talk to people that are thinking about it. And I really want to commend you on going down this journey, and encourage you to help each other. And if there's anything that I can do, just please feel free to reach out to me. So it's great meeting you all. I wish you guys a Shavua Tov, and I hope to be in touch with you.
Thank you so much, Rafi. And I really believe in what Rafi and his sister Laura do. So please check them out, Olim Advisors. And if you know anybody that is making Aliyah, please look them up on their website. And Rafi will post his details on the chat, as well as the new group on Facebook, which is just tremendous. Anything you want to know, you can ask in the group, and we are a bunch of professionals that can answer your questions for you. That's the Anglo Support Network Israel. So Google that, just go onto Facebook and find it, and you will be able to join up and ask any questions. So Yael, we're going to try again. Yael, can you hear us? I don't know where she's gone. Okay, so what we're going to do is, Devorah. Okay, let me see here.
Hi.
Okay. Hi. Okay, so I wanted to introduce you, and also we're going to share some videos and some apartments that are available in Be'er Sheva. Now we do have what we do at Kimbash Real Estate is that we partner with organizations, other agents that work and are experts in this area. So Yael is one of the people that we work with, and she's been so kind to take some videos and show us a little bit about the real estate world going on in Be'er Sheva. So Deb, are you able to share your screen?
Every entrance has a chip to know who's coming in. Not everybody can just come in. It's locked. One door is for Shabbat, it's open manually, and one is automatically. This is the front yard of the building. Those are the building, look up. Oops. She told me at Sukkot, they did a big sukkah over here in this big yard. They have their own private parking lots, and there's gonna be 8th building, if I'm not mistaken, 2,300 families are gonna be in those buildings. See you later. Hi everybody, we're in Be'er Sheva in Yudchet Damri buildings. I'm gonna do a tour in one of the buildings apartment. We're gonna start from the hallway and then I'm gonna show you the lobby because the lobby is beautiful. This is the chute of the garbage. Everything is coming down here. You're not gonna see anything on the way. You have 4 elevators. 2 of them are for Shabbat, and in Shabbat only one is going to be available. If there's any problem with one of them, then they're going to open the second one to be available in Shabbat. This is the apartment. It's a 4-bedroom apartment. This is the nuke for the refrigerator. You have for the oven, a beautiful sink, a place for inductia. You can do either inductia of countertop for the range. If you want it can be gas or it can be electricity. A small island. This is the living room. We are on the 25th floor of the apartment. I want to show you the view. It's 6 p.m. at Be'er Sheva. This is the porch. This is the view of the city. Amazing. You have basketball courts downstairs. By the way, this building has shul downstairs. They just opened it. It's not ready yet. But each building probably is going to have a shul. You can see the whole entire city from here. We're going to go back to the living room. This is the bathroom. Everything is very high level. From the bathroom you have a nook for the washer dryer And you can, let me open this. It doesn't open, I don't know how to open it. Oh, this is for the laundry and for the air conditioner and water heater. Everything is sealed and concealed. The first bedroom. Major bedroom with a bathroom inside. Just a second, the light doesn't turn on. There's a shower over here and a toilet. That's the bedroom. This is the mamad. As you know, in Israel, you need to have a mamad in every apartment. So this has 3 bedrooms and a living room. I'm going to show you downstairs when we get there.
Look at these towers right next to the mall. We have these gorgeous towers. There are 2 up and a couple more being built right here. You can come live here as if you're in Manhattan. Look at this huge tower. And you have a gorgeous lobby with party rooms, and you have a penthouse apartment on top. Come to Israel. You have so many options. And Baruch Hashem, it's alive and thriving. So just another feature of another apartment that's available in Israel. There's all different places in Israel that you can live. You choose.